Hello, everyone, and welcome back to RightTouch Rundown. I am Willie III, founder of RightTouch Solutions, and I am excited to continue our series discussion on bylaws, the most ignored, misunderstood, but yet critical document in your nonprofit toolkit. Last week, we discussed why bylaws matter and how they serve as the internal GPS for your organization. Now, if you missed that episode, feel free to go back and check it out. It'll give you more foundation on what we're diving into today. You can pause now and go back, or you can finish hanging out with us and go back. This is your YouTube account. Do with it as you please. This week, we're going to get a little bit more practical. I'm going to walk you through my 7 essential sections that every set of bylaws should include. No matter the size of the organization, no matter how long it's been going on, the mission, the focus. Now, let's get this up front. Disclaimer, not every bylaw template is created equal. I have seen everything from beautifully structured documents with center toppings and articles and sections and point ones and A, B, and C's, all the way to cut and paste jobs that were put in immediately to get an organization started, but now barely applied to the organization using them. As a quick tip, if your bylaws do not match how your board actually operates, consider that a red flag. Outdated documents are not a safeguard any longer. They are only a liability. These sections I'm going to talk to you about today will serve as your baseline, your non-negotiables, and built-in protection. So let's dive right on in. Section 1, name and purpose. Every set of bylaws, should begin by clearly stating your organization's official legal name. Not the DBA, not what everybody else calls it. It's what the government said it is, what you told the government on your 1023, which is your 501c3 form. We'll talk about that later. It's what should be on your bank account. It should be what's on your signature line. It's that official legal name. And along with the mission and purpose should be in this section. This section matters more than people realize. I promise you it matters. Because if your programming or fundraising efforts no longer align with the purpose listed in your bylaws, it has the potential to create issues with founders, your board, or even the IRS. And we nobody wants that red flag. Tighten it up. So here's my takeaway for this section. If your purpose has evolved beyond your bylaws and they still read like day one, take a moment, gather your board, look through it, and update it. Your mission should lead and your documentation should follow. Moving to section 2, board composition. This section answers the question, who is steering this ship? You want to be clear about how many board members you must have, the officer roles you require, term lengths and term limits. We are talking about term limits right now, but that's neither here or there. Whether officers are elected or appointed, and what qualifies someone to serve on your board, and also what disqualifies them. Quick legal note from a non-lawyer, but you can look this up on the Googles. Texas Business Organization Code requires at least 3 directors. That means 3 board members you have to have, at least 3. But they only specify 2, which is the president and the secretary. And the same person cannot be both president and secretary. I know when you're filling out your forms, you want to get it done. Do not put the same name twice. My personal recommendation is to have a president, a treasurer, and a secretary. I love separating finance out from the very beginning. We'll talk about later on in different videos about the separation of funds and why that's so important, but not today. Now, still in section 2, talking about board composition, this is about protecting your organization and eliminating those confusions that happen when people come in or when disagreements arise. Because without clarity, leadership transitions will be messy. A good set of bylaws makes these processes crystal clear. so that personalities do not take over policy. Facts, not feelings. Section 3, meetings and voting. This is where structure meets consistency. You should outline how often the board must meet: monthly, quarterly, biannually, whenever the moon is 3/4 to the right, whatever it is. This sets it up for people to know when this thing happens, we're having a board meeting. What counts as quorum? That is the minimum number of members required to vote. If quorum is not met, nothing can be voted on. You can discuss it until the cows come home, but you cannot vote on it. Then the method of voting. How are you going to vote? Is it going to be electronic, Is it going to be paper? Are we doing the hand systems? Are we doing the emoticons? How is that going to be? How are you going to pass resolutions? That must be established. As we are in 2025, are your meetings going to be virtual? Are they going to be a hybrid? Are they all going to be in person? Are we going to meet outside? It needs to be put in there. How meeting minutes, which are just a recap of what happened, how are they recorded? How are they documented? And how are they approved? What is the process? Remember, the clearer your bylaws are, the more legitimate your decisions become. If these rules are vague, wishy-washy, or even missing, your leadership risks appearing disorganized. Or even worse, your decisions may not even be valid. The last thing you want to do is to get through a strategic decision and discussion with your PowerPoint set up, you've gotten everybody's buy-in, they are ready to go, only to be told none of this was valid. It reminds me of the older commercial where the seasoned ladies are talking to each other about Facebook, and the lady puts the pictures on her wall, and her friend is like, that's not how any of this works. So make sure it's crystal clear. Moving on, Section 4. Let's talk about those committees. Committees are how boards get things done. No one person can and should do it all. But you need to have rules around how committees are. They should clarify who can form a committee. Is it the president? It is the entire board? Is it all the members need to agree? Whether committees must be approved by the board. Should committee chairs be current members? Should they be current members who've been here at least 5 years or 2 years, been active? And what does active mean? If committees can act independently, meaning they understand the strategy, go with it, and we'll talk about it and check and adjust, or only make recommendations that then are approved and then they can go. You do not need to list every possible committee. This will make you have a very, very long bylaw, because I have been a part of many boards. I have a couple of clients now who put all their committees, and it literally took up 3 pages. It is not necessary. You can if you want to. Again, these are your bylaws. This section is more about maintaining flexibility without losing that structure. Now, that said, you should always consider keeping those standard committees within those bylaws. My 3 standards are the finance, governance, and programming. That way, future boards are not starting from scratch. And we all know how I feel about letting people fly blind when they're new to a board. And also how I feel about recreating wheels. Cut it out. Section 5, conflict of interest policy. Some organizations embed this directly into their bylaws. Others reference it as a separate document. I actually like you to do both, to be honest. Either way, your bylaws must speak to how your organization handles potential conflicts of interest. I know this is confusing, so let me give you a quick scenario. Imagine your board member owns a consulting firm, and suddenly your organization is considering hiring that very firm. Even if it's the perfect fit, all the dots are dotted, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, this aligns perfectly. That board member has to and must disclose the relationship, recuse themselves from the vote to use this service, to ensure transparency is documented. This is not just best practice, it is expected by large funders and the government. We don't want no trouble with old Uncle Sam because he is certainly always looking to stir something up. Don't give him a reason. Do what's right. Document it, be clear, be transparent, be ethical. Now, within your conflict of interest section of your bylaws, it should include or reference a statement that all board members and staff must avoid personal gain from decisions. Personal gain is very important. It's a very important word. I can't wait to do another video on that. We're going to have fun with that. A requirement to disclose any and all conflicts of interest. Even if you don't think it's a conflict, put it down. It's fine. A process for how the board will evaluate and respond to those disclosures. Of course, they need to be confidential. It's not everybody's business, just the board behind those doors. So figure out a way to keep it confidential. How are you going to respond? How can they fill those forms out? That's all that back end stuff. I promise you, even if you think it will never happen, we'll never have conflicts of interest, things are just going to go on smooth and swimming. Build that structure anyway. Because if it ever does happen and you have nothing in the writing, that damage will be fast and permanent. Build it up. We're almost done, friends. Section 6, amendments. Your bylaws are not written in stone. We talked about the cornerstone in the last video, but that's not what we're talking about. They are not built in stone. They can be changed. But they should also not be so easy to rewrite on a whim. This section ensures that your organization has a plan for growth. I want your org to grow. We don't want stagnation because that does nothing but bring disease. We want you to grow, be profitable, help the community or your chosen focus group. We want to have those adjustments and evolution over time. It should include how members can propose change. How much notice must be given before a vote. You don't want to give somebody 1 day notice. That's rude. I always suggest 3 to 5 days before you talk about vote on anything. If a meeting is coming up, you already know what's coming up because early in your bylaws, they know what time meetings are. Go ahead and set that by this date, we need to make sure people know what's going on. Do it like your agenda you send out ahead of time. Give people a moment. You also want to know the number of votes required to approve an amendment. That goes back to that quorum conversation that we'll talk about later. Whether you require a simple majority or a 2/3 vote, the key is consistency and clarity. Do not let your organization, your foundation, be at the mercy of whoever shows up that day. Because yes, you may have a wonderful idea on an amendment, but everybody that shows up that day, you may have said something in the foyer that has made them mad. Now everybody's abstaining from voting, and you're like, why can't I get this done? Make sure you treat your people right, you have your clarity, and you have your things together. Lastly, we've made it to the end. Number 7, removal of board members. I know this is a sensitive topic and get very sticky, but somebody got to address it, and I will be the one because it must be addressed. Your bylaws need to include clear language for how a board member can be removed when necessary. This section sets the tone for accountability. It should specify who has the authority to initiate the process. What actions justify removal? Is it misconduct, missing a bunch of meetings, breaking confidentiality, etc.? Then the required vote threshold is often 2/3 is what I've seen normally. But again, your bylaws, your rules, but it needs to be in there. Whether a hearing or documentation is required. For our school teachers, you have to have stuff written up. For our people who work in corporate, you got to CYA. That means get your stuff together, just in case. Whether the individual who's being removed or asked to be removed has a chance to respond or appeal. This reminds me of Dreamgirls. I don't know if you've seen it, where Effie, she gets kicked out of the group, because no one understands what she's going through, and she also didn't say anything. So there wasn't a culture set up for them to go back and forth and understand how each other were going until the very end of the movie and they realized what happened. Give that individual a chance to respond because life be life, as my sister say. See what's going on because there may be an opportunity to take this as a growth opportunity. And they just may be being raggedy. It's time for them to go. Now, again, this matters because nonprofits often hesitate to remove someone even when the fit is no longer there because they have no process to follow. That hesitation can create tension between board members who are there and doing the work and members. It erodes that trust and it'll stall momentum. We're back to stagnation. And let me be real with you. Some of the folks that started with you on day one, you trust them, you love them, they mean well, but seasons change. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for you, for them, and the organization is to make room for them to develop somewhere else and make room for new leadership. Sometimes it's all right to invite somebody to be somewhere else. Protect your mission and your board culture by including a fair but firm removal clause. We did it. Those are Willie's Big 7. There may be other sections based on your state, your organization structure, but these 7 are non-negotiables. Without them, you are just guessing when things get real. And let me tell you, things get real all the time. They get real quick, and it gets real. So if you're sitting there wondering whether your current bylaws hold up to the conversation we just had, allow this to be a gentle nudge. Let us make sure our organizations are built to support the future, not just the past when it started. Feel free to schedule a review session with me. I am happy to go over these with you. All right, quick recap. This was a long one. Your bylaws should clearly cover name and purpose, board composition, meeting and voting, committees, conflict of interest policy, amendments, and removal of board members. Willie's Big 7. These are your anchor points, your playbook before the game gets intense. Now, before you head out, do me a quick favor. If this has helped you, you like the video, push the button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with somebody who is building something impactful and meaningful. Feel free not to gatekeep this good strategy. Now, if I could help you or you need help reviewing your updated bylaws or building systems that support long-term sustainability, visit me over at RightTouchSolutions.com. I work with nonprofits and small business leaders every day to build systems that sustain their mission, not just for today, but for the long term. All right. I'll see y'all next week for part 3, where we will cover how to adapt your bylaws as your organization grows and develops. Because what served you in year 1 may not serve you in year 5. Until then, remember, mission moves best with strategy and structure. Goodbye, everybody.